Hey guys, if you're an online course creator, agency owner, or coach who use screen recordings to delegate tasks to your team and still they're not meeting your expectations, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to discover how 3 words will drastically improve their quality of work so you can spend more time on what actually moves the needle in your business. If that's something you're interested in, let's go. So first off, I want to start by sharing a story of mine, and I think a bunch of you guys here can relate to this. About a year ago, I went to Sevilla with a friend of mine, and we were going to go out for dinner at a restaurant. And she's very picky with her food, she wants to pick a right spot, and I'm like, sweet. So after a while, maybe 20, 30 minutes or whatever, she still hadn't decided where we should go. And then I asked, hey, do you want my help? And she's like, yeah, perfect. Okay. So I find a place. She tells me it needs to be vegan. I'm like, okay, sweet. Let's find a place that's vegan. I find a place that's vegan. And then she's like, I don't like the ambiance. Okay, like vegan ambiance. Got it. Let's move on. I found a place that's vegan, has ambiance. And then she's like, isn't this a little bit too expensive? I'm like, okay. So I go find a cheap place that's vegan, that has a great ambiance. And then I can't even remember what the fourth thing was, but I just freaking gave up. I don't know how many times you've been through that with a friend of yours, and you just like give up. Your engagement drops. You're like, you know what? This is on you. You figure this out. I don't care anymore. So why am I telling you guys this? Well, to be honest, a bunch of us are running our teams this way. We're giving them a task, which is basically impossible to solve because we haven't given them enough information. We need to be really specific and clear what it is that we want from them. Because if we're not, how the heck could someone else give us? Like, it's like asking for a birthday gift, and then when they give you something, you're like, that's not what I want, and you get cranky. Like, no, you give them like a wish list, right? When you're a kid, you're like, these are the things I want. If you're giving me something not on that list, then it's on you. It's your risk taking, right? But that's something we really want. So we want to get really clear about that. So if you feel like you kind of created a business in which the primary product has to be done by you, and you feel like you're almost like a overworked and underpaid employee of your own business, that's okay. We can fix that. And we're going to figure part of that out today. So here's what you'll get by hanging out with me today. You'll discover 3 words to make your vision and your task crystal clear so that your team can work autonomously with minimum guidance. And then at the end, I'll give you a fill in the blank template, which all of this fits perfectly into. So basically, you'll be able to fill that out and just give it to your VA or your teammate or whatever. So they will be crystal clear on what it is that you want. But as you already have figured out, a big part of this is for us to get clear on what it is that we want. Because if we don't, there's no way someone else is going to give it to us. Make sense? You're on board? Awesome. And for those of you guys who think tasks are way too complex to be delegated, I just want to give you a short little story of my background. So for those of you who are on YouTube, you'll be able to see the screen now, and you can see me in a bomb disposal suit. So I used to do military bomb disposal for the Swedish Armed Forces. I was the team leader. I'm the guy who dresses up in that, Hurt Locker style type of suit and goes down the range to approach the bomb. This is not a simple task. And there's no way that I could do all of that on my own. So I had to delegate the medical preparedness, the contingency plans, and all of that stuff, because once I go down range towards the bomb, I need to focus on one thing solely. In the business world, we call this the 5% that will move the needle in our business. And in the EOD world, it is being focused on the bomb. That means I had to delegate all the other things, all the really complex contingency plans, medical plans, all of that stuff, I had to delegate to a second in command and the rest of my team. So if I was able to do that and come back alive, then surely you will be able to delegate website creation, posts on Instagram production, etc., etc. We can make that work, and I will give you the tools today to get to that place. So how come they don't understand what it is that you want? This is a really good question. And most often, it's a too strong focus on the how to do something. This is where people use like screen recordings. I went through step by step how to do this. How can they not understand it? And you could think about it this way. If you want someone to put together an IKEA table, which we've all been there, right? You can teach them step by step exactly how to do it. You can give them the manual and tell them like, just do it, follow the manual, and you should have a table at the end. But what happens when the tools that usually come with the table isn't in the package this time. They will stop building and they would tell you, hey, I don't have the tools to proceed, because they don't understand the purpose and the rules of what they're doing. They're just following the manual step by step by step. And if something's missing in the manual, then it's just like, oh, I'm stuck. So then you might fall into the trap of thinking, okay, well, we went step by step by step. We hit this place where something went wrong. I'll just add something to my guide. So in case this happens, then they could just do that next time. The problem is that you will have so many different things happening that your your workshop manual or whatever will become so big that it's just like incomprehensible. This happens all the time. I used to work for an NGO in Iraq, and they just had this humongous knowledge system, which probably had everything I ever needed to know, but you couldn't find the stuff you wanted. So I'm going to offer you something that is way better. And this is also the reason why screen recordings make you feel like it's just better if I do it myself. Because you look at the screen recording and this is all they need. And then they look at it and it's like, I don't truly get it, but I'll just follow the steps. So if you focus only on the how-to and you miss out on the purpose and the rule set of why they're doing something, then you're making it super difficult for yourself. And you're building a team that's very you're building a machine basically. And you want machines to do machine tasks and you want people to do people tasks. Let's put it that way. So here's why missing just one of these components will make your team appear lazy, unable, and unwilling to do the work. And I want to stress that it's appearing. It doesn't mean that they actually don't care. So I'm going to give you 3 words which will, if you use this correctly, blow your mind, realizing how freaking simple it is to delegate a task with high accuracy. So they will even over-deliver on whatever it is that you want them to do. And that is the cool part. My goal for you is for you to feel like, oh my God, I just want to delegate everything, because every time I delegate, they bring me back something that I couldn't even imagine. That's the cool part. That's where I want you to be. Okay, so here are 3 things. You want to communicate the purpose, the rules, and the end state. So let's say you have the purpose and you have the end state. The end state is what will have changed once the task is solved. So if you have those 2, you will have people who care and who do the right things, but results are usually useless because they break one of your rules. And the rules would be something like they created an ad, but it goes against Facebook policy. So you can't run it. It doesn't matter if it's the world's best ad, oh my God, this is mind-blowing. This is so innovative. This is so fun, but it's showing too much skin. So Facebook ads, they're just not going to run it. So even if they really cared for it, they innovated, they made something really cool, they created what you wanted, you cannot use it because they don't have a clear understanding of the rule set. In this case, the Facebook ad policy. One way of seeing this is where you've kind of created a box, but they're working outside the box. They're I did a beautiful thing, but it's you're outside the box. If you communicate the rules and the end states, that is, you communicate what it is that you want, what the task will look like when it's done, and you create the boundaries, the frame, or the box, which I call the rules, then you will have people who follow the rules, they're doing the right things, but they do the absolute minimum. They never innovate, they never do anything exciting, they never question stuff, they just they do it. And this is fine. You can have a bunch of people like this, and you'll get a bunch of things done, but you will most likely lose out on opportunities, because these will be the guys who's just ooh, that's a huge opportunity. But if I tell the boss or tell the owner that that's an opportunity, that's probably going to mean that my life is going to be a little bit more sucky and I'm going to have more things to do. So I'm just going to be let that pass, because they don't really care. They're they're just here to do the work and move on, which is fine, but they will not give you the innovation. They will not give you creativity. They will just do their thing. In another way of seeing this is the people who just whatever, I don't give a crap. It's I'm here to do my thing. For those of you guys who are on YouTube, you could see the 3 circles, the purpose, end state, and rules, and how this fit together. So if you're able to nail the purpose and the rules, but you miss out on the end state, you will have people who care, who follow the rules, but they're doing the wrong things. You could kind of see it they made this amazing Instagram reel. It's so good, it's innovative, it's captivating, it's everything you ever wanted, except you asked for a post. So you can't use it. You're but we're looking for a static post. It doesn't matter how well you did this, we can't use it, right? So that's an important part of it. They are just doing things, but they're a little bit lost. These are guys who are just I don't know really what I'm doing. I'm doing great things, but it's the wrong things, If you nail this though, you have the purpose, the end state, and the rules, and we like zoom in on this Venn diagram and we're in the middle, this is where we'll find amazing things. So instead of focus on the how, I want you to focus on the purpose, which in this IKEA example would be like, okay, the purpose of this table is for a birthday party of 8. And we want the end state. Well, when you're done with the task, it's going to be a table. And the rules are the things that you must do and you cannot do. So if these guys understand the purpose of the table, that is, like, it's going to be able to seat 8 people, then when they look at the instructions and see, hey, this table is only made for 6, they might actually come back in with a bigger table or a suggestion of like, hey, this table doesn't seat the amount of people that you want. And if they are clear on the rules, they will understand acceptable deviations from the step-by-step. So what do I mean with this? Let's say the step-by-step instruction says you got to use that little tool that comes, that always breaks and the stupid IKEA stuff. But they know like, okay, this tool, I can quickly exchange it for another tool and then we're ready to go. So they will just do that because they understand the purpose, the end state, and what they can and cannot do. And if you explicitly told them you must do this or you cannot do this, they will be able to innovate and create within the boundaries you have set. So this PER delegation framework, which I call it, the purpose, end state, and rules, is the same thing all military units use. So if we go back and we summarize, we could say like the rules, it's kind of like, what's the box going to look like? What are the frameworks? If we make it too tight, it's like a prison. If we make it too wide, it's just chaos. So how wide do you want it? How tight do you want this? And then the purpose is, why is this important? And if you're really professional, you actually speak to a why that they care about. Quick note, oftentimes your team doesn't give a crap about the company vision. But if you can speak to why this is important to them, you got an incredibly engaged team instantly. And the end state, that's where what will the world look like after this task is complete? What's the difference between now and then? And once we nail all of this and we get into the middle of the Venn diagram, you will see 3 things. You will have people who care, who are capable, and who are cooperative. They will care about the task, they will be capable to solve the task, and they're willing to cooperate on how to solve it. They won't be just like, it's my way or nothing. So it's kind of like a cake. If you miss just one ingredient, or it's the wrong volume, or it's in the wrong order, you're kind of screwing it up. Okay, so then the question is like, yes, this sounds complicated, and you might already forgotten half of it, and that's totally fine, because I've taken all of this stuff and I've shoved it into my crystal clear delegation template. So the next task you give to someone, all you need to do is fill out these 3 things, and honestly, you will communicate 80% of the things that are important to make them work autonomously so that you can do your thing. You can approach your bomb, you can do your 5% of your business and avoid being interrupted and having misunderstandings and all that, like super annoying things. And if you need extra training on how to implement this or do this with your team or even done for you, you could join the community that we have, and you'll find the links in the show notes or the link in the description below. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about what to do when delegation turns into more work, not less.